Great. All right, guys, it is 6:01 on my clock, so we will go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name's Alicia Eller. I am the principal at Crossroads Arts and Science Early College, and we are located on the third floor of Statesville High School. I also have with me my two colleagues here are Ms. Terry Hutchins, who's the principal at CCTL, which is located on Mitchell's campus, and then also Mr. Billy Wells, who is the principal at ASIC, which is located up at North Iredell High School's campus. I am a parent just like you guys. I have a student that is in 8th grade currently, and we are also doing our homework and planning, trying to figure out what is the right program for him and his high school career. So we totally get where you guys are coming from, and I hope that this evening's webinar will help you have a better idea of what you guys are interested in doing for your student for next year. So during this next hour, we are going to go through a presentation where we will be talking about 3 different early college programs that are all here in Iredell County school system, how they are similar, how they are different, and how to apply, and numerous other topics. And then at the end of our presentation, we will move towards answering the questions and answers from you guys in the audience. So you should be able to submit questions as we go through and proceed through the presentation. In the Q&A portion that's located down at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And then, like I said, the last 15 minutes or so, we will hit those and try and get all the answers for anything that we have not covered tonight during the presentation part of it. So we are going to go ahead and get started with the slideshow, and I'm going to switch gears and hand it over to Miss Terry Hutchins.
Thank you, Ms. Eller, and we will go ahead and get started. I'm going to start about early colleges generally, and then I will talk a little bit about CCTL specifically. So Ms. Eller has already reviewed for you that we have 3 early colleges in Iredell County. And she mentioned that CCTL is the one on the Mitchell Community College campus. Crossroads is the one located on the 3rd floor of Statesville High School, and ASEC is the one located in their own space inside North Iredell High School. So we don't have to go through this slide. All of you parents are saying, wow, college is expensive. So we hope that's the primary reason you're interested in our programs, because that is our purpose, to try to get 2 years of free college for you and your student taken care of. So what is early college? Early college takes what is, 4 years of a high school education and 2 years of an associate's degree, which at the university level, that's your gen eds, like your Englishes, your maths, your sciences, your histories, and some pre-major classes before you declare your major at the university. And we can double count some of those credits. And so some of those double counted credits allow us to get students to complete that 6 years of education in 5 years. If students choose to go during summers, it's not required. They can choose to take college classes in summer, and they can reduce that down to 4 years or 4.5. But by and large, our students do the program in 5 years. So there is an articulation agreement between our North Carolina Public Schools and the North Carolina Community College System and the UNC public universities. And within that articulation agreement, 2 things. One, they are guaranteed a seat at one of those 16 public universities. Of course, which one depends on how high their grades are, right? But they have to make C's or better in all of their college classes. And then the other articulation agreement is if they, part of that articulation agreement is if they complete the full associate's degree while they are with us, that public university has to take all of that. It goes as a unit. So they can't start picking in between, which college credits they're going to take. So a little bit about all three of us. Our high school classes are all taught on the honors level. So there is no regular, or no academic level. So when you are hearing at your traditional high school options, they have regular academic level, they have honors level, and they have AP or IB level. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. They begin taking their college classes in their freshman year, but those classes are chosen essentially for them. Classes that we know they will be successful in if they just have a good work ethic. Once they go on to the university, our students they apply as freshmen. We can talk about why, but it gets them eligible for more things like more scholarships, housing, parking. But when they get there, their credits are processed by those public universities and they become a junior. At all three of our schools, we do more inquiry-based learning, constructive learning, project-based learning, collaborative group work learning. There's not a lot of standing at the board with the teacher, just direct instructing, students taking notes, and just regurgitating that back up on a test. So it is active learning by the students that's facilitated by the teacher. We're often asked, are you looking for students who have straight A's? And the answer to that is no. We have the entire continuum of students here, but we do need them to have a good work ethic. And so you can only imagine if you're combining 4 years of high school and 2 years of college into 5 years, that the workload and the rigor is higher and more intense than a traditional high school. But if they have a good work ethic and they're admitted, of course, they're going to be successful in our programs. So some things about how we are the same. Transportation. So all three early colleges share the same 6 buses, and they cover all of Iredell County. Now, they do not go door to door. So this is something you really need to pay attention to. And Ms. Eller will touch base on this again near the end of the presentation. But I'm just rounding. Like in the northern end of the county, we might pick up in 3 locations only, like a library, a grocery store, and some other public area. In the western end of the county, we might pick up in 4 areas, like a Subway and a Food Lion, and then in the southern end of the county, we might pick up in 6 locations, like a shopping center, like Target, like a Harris Teeter. But we do not do door-to-door bus service. So you would have to either be able to drive your student all the way to the school or to one of those shuttle bus stop locations. We are all the same in that we are on an early calendar. And that early calendar is earlier than Iredell-Statesville Schools. So if you've been looking at any of the proposed draft calendars for next school year, we're earlier than that. So you cannot be on vacation the first week of August because we will have an open house, each one of us, and then our students will start to school approximately April 6th. April 7th, August. Let's don't back up to April. August 6th or 7th, with the open house being the week before that. Our school hours are all approximately 8 to 3. Like mine are 7:55 to 3. I think Miss Eller's are 8:15 to 3:15, and I think Mr. Wells's are somewhere in between that.
We're 8:10 till 3.
Thank you. And then all of us have a cafeteria lunch, and the cafeteria, like Statesville High, when I'll have my own serving line, but they send food over and then we serve it here. And then Miss Ellers and Mr. Wells, have their own lunch block in the cafeteria inside their traditional high school. So also, how are we the same? At any of us, if your student is going on to a university, they can get one of the transfer degrees. So we've listed those. Those are not all of them, but this is what about 90 to 95% of our students are pursuing. An associate in arts has nothing to do with art. An associate in science, it does have to do with science and math extra. Associate in engineering, and associate in fine arts. Our students are also pursuing associate and applied science degrees, and there's a whole list of them. There's like 50. So we just listed a few of them, like engineering tech, like agribusiness, like culinary, criminal justice, EMT. So all kinds of applied science degrees are available to your students as well. And that just means they're more than likely going to go to work in that field right after their early college experience. Some of those specialized programs may have a few little fees along the way, but all the rest of the programs and the tuition, the fees, the textbooks, we pay for all of that. Dress code, same as a traditional high school. We're often asked, are y'all a normal school? Do y'all have regular activities? Do you have dances? Do you have clubs? Do you have things for us to do other than those academics you keep mentioning? And the answer is yes. And we'll get to some of those specifics here in just a little bit. We're also asked why early college, versus like AP academies or IB. And so the short answer to that is our students, if they make that C or better, they are granted those college credits. And so it's not depending on whether you pass the AP exam as to whether you will get those credits transferred on to the university. And another short answer about that is since our students take about 20 college classes, that gets an extra quality point on their GPA for each one of those. And then because all of our high school classes are at the honors level, that gets a half a quality point added to their GPA as well. So our students have very competitive GPAs when it's time to apply for universities or for scholarships. So a little bit that's specific to CCTL. Again, it is the one located on the Mitchell Community College campus. Our high school classes are in our own areas. But of course, the college classes, they are on the college campus right here with us. And the freshman year, they don't go out and about on the college campus and intermingle with adult learners that are here. My students for CCTL, we are not on a traditional college campus. So when it comes to sports, we don't have our own sports teams. We don't have our own sports fields or anything like that. So students who want to continue playing sports, at their home attendance zone school, that is where my students play sports. And with that comes some parent obligation to get them to the sports practices and games. My students can try out for and do marching band and JROTC after school through Statesville High School or their home attendance zone school, whichever one they can make happen better, try out for and get on the team. And then specific to my school in the freshman year, CCTL stands for technology. And so our technology component is the Adobe suite of products. So parents are usually most familiar with Photoshop. A little baby easy version of that, on your phone when you're editing pictures, right? But our students learn the entire continuum of Adobe products. So InDesign, Illustrator, Premiere, lots of audio and video and picture and presentation skills come along with that. And that is in the freshman year. And it is a requirement and they don't have an option. But then after that, there are no more specific requirements, electives for CCTL. I'm not going to read the list, but lots and lots of activities to do at CCTL. There's a whole list of clubs there. You can find those on our website also. But we're often asked, do you have dances? Yes. Do you have a prom? Yes. Do you have, fun activities throughout the year? Yes. Okay, and I'm going to hand it off to some Crossroads specific information from Ms. Eller.
Great, thanks. Yes, so just moving forward, Jada, to the next slide, please. So looping back to Crossroads in our location, we again are located on the third floor of Statesville High School. Um, Pretty much, actually, every single classroom except for one is all located on the third floor. I do have the Spanish classroom that is located beside Statesville High School's Media Center, which is on the second floor. But that is the one class that's not on our main hallway. Our students attend their college classes on the Mitchell campus. We are just a couple of blocks from Mitchell, and we run a shuttle bus all day, every day, pretty much, Monday through Friday, about every hour, to just transport the kids between our campus here at Statesville High School and over to Mitchell's Statesville campus. So it works out really great. It's about a 3 or 4 minute ride, and the bus drops them off right there to for them to walk to their classes, and they hop back on and ride back over to the high school for any of their high school classes that they still have in the day. From there, again, students at our school can participate in sports, but they do have to participate specifically through Statesville High School. There is no choice to go back and play sports at your attendance zone high school. So you would, if you're a soccer player, you would be playing soccer through Statesville High School. If you are a marching band student, you would be playing through Statesville High School band, and so on. So which is convenient in lots of ways, especially for your students that aren't driving yet, because then they can just dismiss from class like normal at 3:15 and walk out to practice or to the gym or to wherever to meet the team bus and get to their game or to their event that day. Bus transportation, again, so specifically is provided to get those students back and forth between if they do happen to have a 4th block class over at the college and there is a game that day, like for instance, yesterday there was a wrestling match and those students needed to dismiss at 2:50. And so we just add an extra shuttle for that day to get those wrestlers back on campus to meet the team bus by 3 o'clock. So lots of moving parts, but it all works out. Kids are flexible, and that's the great part. And then specifically, something that is a little different here at Crossroads is that during the students' freshman year here, the students will focus on their transition to the high school. So basically, we have our kids scheduled for 4 high school classes for fall semester and 4 high school classes for the spring semester. And within those 4 classes each semester, they are choosing one elective class. And so there's a list of elective options. And so they can choose from fine arts, JROTC, or CTE options with those. And I'll continue to talk about those on the next slide. So specifically with those electives, the students have a choice their 9th grade year to either pick an elective for fall semester that is shared classes through Statesville High School, or they can pick Crossroads only classes that just mean that in itself, that they are just restricted to Crossroads students. So you can see here on the list that if they decide to pick a shared class through Statesville High School, those are their options. So dance, art, theater, band, chorus, and so on, that they would take for fall or spring semester. And then the choices for Crossroads only electives are CTE courses, which is the honors career management and the honors business essentials. Going back to if GPA is something that really matters to you and your planning purposes, this would be something for you to take notice of, because with planning to purposely pick honors level electives, so you get that extra half a point weight on your GPA that Miss Hutchins was referencing earlier when it comes down to their transcripts. So just something to think about as you're planning and collecting information about all the different schools and programs. And so moving on from there, clubs, pretty similar to CCTL in the fact that we have numerous clubs that are Crossroads only here at campus for our students. And then we have several that we share with Statesville High School. Probably the biggest one that we share with Statesville is the theater club. They collectively put on a spring musical every year. And this year's musical is going to be Shrek Jr. So you can come visit us for that later next semester. And then when the kids reach 11th grade, they can also join clubs at Mitchell as well. And the reason why we have them wait until their 11th grade year is because they need to be able to have a more flexible schedule to attend most of the club meetings that take place at the college campus, because a lot of them are during the school day, and the 9th through 10th graders don't have as much flexibility in their 8 to 3 schedule to be able to attend club meetings and stuff during that time. But once they move up to grades 11 through 13, A, they can drive themselves, and then B, like I said, they will have a more flex schedule when it comes to their day-to-day of how they're going to classes. So it works in well at that point. And then I'm going to pass over to Billy to talk about ASIC.
Thank you, Alicia. ASIC, or the Agriculture and Science Early College, is the newest of the 3 early colleges. This is our 6th year of operation, and we are located here on the campus at North Iredell High School. We do have our classes are separate in a separate building from the North Iredell High School classes. And as it was mentioned earlier, we do have a separate lunch schedule. So during the regular school day, we are fairly separate from North Iredell High School. Also, our college classes are taught in a Mitchell North Center, also located here on the campus. So the Mitchell instructors come here to teach the classes. And those are the basic classes. We do have many students who choose to take some of their college classes on the Mitchell campus during their senior and super senior year 12 and 13, just because either they want to, it's more convenient for their schedule, or there's a class that they would like to take that's not offered here at the North Center. But especially during the 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, our students are taking their Mitchell classes here on campus. Students participate in sports and extracurricular activities with North Iredell High School. And just one other question that comes up frequently: most of our students do not take agriculture classes. Most of our students are not in the agriculture pathway, but it is an option. And we do have several students who choose to take at least one elective in the agriculture department just because they're interested either in animal science or horticulture or something in the agriculture department. Our students also take, just like at Statesville, our students take chorus, band, JROTC, as they can work it in their schedule, those electives at North Iredell High School. All right. We have several clubs here. We have a list of those clubs that are supported here. And there are a few clubs that our students participate in at North Iredell High School too. The FCA, the FFA, the engineering club, all of those are joint clubs between ASEC and North Iredell. All right. You can go ahead and advance to the next slide. All of the students take ACA 111 in their freshman year. That is the first college class. It's basically a class on college success. Our Students have have an advisor who, beginning with their freshman year, sits down with them to talk about their interest and their strengths, and begins working out a 5-year plan for those students. It's a great opportunity for our students to get college and career counseling from the very beginning of their high school career. And that advisor will help them plan for the college classes that they need to take. There are tutoring opportunities at Mitchell, both in person and online tutoring, and there's a writing center that's available free for our students to get help and assistance with their papers. A list of the clubs and organizations that Mitchell offers that our students can be a part of as well. All right. Okay, it's about time for applications to begin. The applications will be available online on December the 1st, must be completed by January the 15th. And you can fill out one application and decide if you want to apply to 1, 2, or 3 early colleges. You just fill out the application one time and indicate the early colleges that you would like to submit your application to. You will need recommendations from your math and ELA teachers, your English language arts teachers, and also from your school counselor. You just need to send them a notice that you've applied and that you need them to complete a recommendation for you, and then the teachers and the counselor can complete those recommendations online as well. All right, the timeline, as the timeline goes, that application process will end on January the 15th. We will begin processing those beginning in mid to late February and into early March. We will be contacting the students to make offers. And once you are contacted by phone with an offer from 1, 2, or 3 early colleges, you get a 24-hour time window to give an answer on whether you want to accept that seat or not. We all 3 have some open houses coming up where you can come visit us on campus and meet the faculty, the staff at the early colleges, and get a feel for the layouts. Crossroads is on Monday, November the 28th. CCTL has 2 open houses, one on Tuesday, November the 29th, and then on Saturday, December 3rd. And ASEC has open house on Tuesday, December the 13th. It's a good chance to come out and get a feel for the setup and meet the staff, and also meet some of the current students as well to ask them some questions. This is a list of our current counselors and our Mitchell liaisons. And those are the staff members who will help your students plan for the courses that they want to take, that they need to take, and to help them get their courses into a 5-year plan, or as was mentioned earlier, into a 4.5 or 4-year plan in some cases. All right, just pictures of our graduations. We have had 3 graduations here at ASEC. We would love for you to apply and to join us and to become a part of the student bodies at one of the 3 early colleges. You just need to make sure you submit your application online. One other thing that was mentioned when Ms. Hutchins was talking about grades, while grades are important, we certainly do not have all A students or even all B students, but we really need students to be in attendance and to be here. Attendance is one of the factors that is critical to success at early college, and then even probably more so in the college classes. So we encourage excellent attendance. All right.
Okay, so Jada, if we could proceed over to the early college handout, please. Okay. I've got my Q&A box right over the handout where I can't read anything. Do some rearranging here. So just a reminder, guys, if you have questions, feel free to go ahead and list those in the Q&A box on your screen. And Ms. Hutchins and Mr. Wells and myself are trying to answer some as we go. And then, of course, we'll still answer questions at the end as well. So this handout is just a quick recap of a couple of things. So again, and I'll keep this short, but up here at the top, it just talks about, again, the ways that we are similar at the three early colleges. You know, our goals are the same for all three schools. We want our students to be graduating with a high school diploma and an associate's degree, or at least 2 certificates by the time they finish our program in 5 years. And like Ms. Hutchins mentioned earlier, it is possible to finish our programs in 4 years or 4.5 years, but that does require lots of extra work on the student side with taking summer classes. And they also have to be eligible to be able to take those summer classes as well. So it's not something that is automatic from day one of being able to complete it in 4 years. It basically is depending on the student's performance in their classes and how they progress, and whether or not they can finish in 4 years or 4.5 years. Also, some reminders of how we are similar. Again, we're all honors level high school courses, and they are all getting a 0.5 extra weight added into their GPA for each one of those courses that they take through us. And those are all your traditional classes that they would be taking at if they went to a traditional high school. You know, your math 1, 2, 3, 4, your English 1, 2, 3, 4, your 3 sciences, and your 4 history credits, and so on. Again, all of our students are attending classes through Mitchell College. There's no difference in the majors that the students must pick between our 3 programs. You can be a science major at Crossroads, you can be a science major at CCTL, and you can be a science major at ASIC. So the college options are all the same. Sometimes people get bogged down in thinking that they can only do certain programs from a certain early college, and that is not the case. Like I said, generically speaking, probably about 95% of the choices that are offered through Mitchell are available to all 3 early college locations. So all of that is good news. Basically, you have great options no matter which program you are interested in the most. If we scroll down just a touch with the differences, again, just reiterating, because this is the questions that everyone always asks us is, how are you different? So obviously our locations are the number one difference. We are in 2 different or 3 different physical places. And sometimes that matters a lot for people, especially if you're not able to drive your kid to school, or they don't have a car and those kinds of things. So it is important that you know which school is which and where we're located. Going along with that, it also matters about the busing transportation. Again, we want to make sure everyone is completely aware that we do not do door-to-door stops. And it is different in the context of shuttle stops in how IB has their shuttle stops for their programs. So the IB schools tend to have kids can be bused to their traditional middle school, and then they bus them over to the IB schools. And so for early college, that is not our setup. We have community stops, usually in very public locations. Ms. Hutchins was listing some of our bus stops a little bit earlier. And just in just a few minutes, I'm going to pull up our bus stop list so you guys can see the full list of all of our bus stops. And then you guys will be able to reference those from our websites. And then we'll post all of this stuff after we finish tomorrow on our website, so you can access any of these materials for later. But again, so going back to buses. So yes, a student can ride a bus from any part of the county to our schools. However, the student has to be able to reach the bus stop location. So so keep that in mind. And then again, going back to the sports of how that works at each school. At ASIC, you're playing through North. At Crossroads, you're playing through Statesville. And then at CCTL, you are playing sports through your home high school. And then again, going to how do our students access their college classes? They are all taking college classes with Mitchell College instructors. The location of where they're being taught is just different up at ASIC, because ASIC has their instructors physically come up to the north site to take classes there. And then obviously with Mitchell, we are so close, and CCTL is physically located within the college campus that their students are just walking to classes. So it keeps things simple. Moving on down this handout, we have, again, just listing specific directions on how to apply, just to make this easier, so that you don't have to take notes. You can take a picture with your phones right now or a screenshot of the screen. And yeah, the applications are going live on December 1st. And it closes on just January 15th. So you've got a good month and a half to get them done. I would say don't rush. It doesn't matter if you fill it out December 1st or you fill it out December 15th, but it does matter if you miss the deadline of January 15th. So just keep that in mind. The other part is we really do want you to think about who you're going to apply to before you do it. You guys will see when you access our application, you can apply for all 3 schools at one time, or you can apply to 2 of our programs, or you can apply to just 1. So in my opinion, especially since you're wading through all this information about the different high school programs, my recommendation would be to come and visit our open houses that are coming up in the near future, and you can see that on the screen there in front of you. For Crossroads, it's on Monday, November the 28th. CCTL has 2, one on November the 29th and a second one on December 3rd, and then ASIC on Tuesday, December the 13th at each of our schools. So you would be able to meet our staff, walk around our hallways to our classrooms, and we will talk about more of our programs on how everything works at our schools in particular, to give you more of a feel of what it would be like if you were a student at Crossroads versus CCTL and ASIC and so on. So I would encourage you guys to visit us for open houses, and then that will help you with the application process of whether or not you truly want to apply to all 3 or just 2 or 1 and so on. And then moving down to the bottom of the handout is just our school contact information. So if you've got additional questions about stuff, you are welcome to contact us as the principals or our counselors as well. Our email addresses and the phone numbers for each school is listed down there at the bottom. And so I'm going to go ahead and move over to the transportation form, please, Jada. Thank you. And so, guys, this is our list of community stops that I was talking about earlier. You will notice in the dark gray areas that each high school attendance zone is listed. So up here at the top, you see Lake Norman High School shuttle locations, and then you also see Statesville High School shuttle locations. And so as you just read down the list, like for Lake Norman, you see that there's Best Buy parking lot on River Highway, Harris Teeter, Target parking lot, Perth Road, and so on. And then you keep going down the list and you see north, and those are the community stops in that area. And then south, and then Statesville High School over there, going down on the right, and west, and then Mooresville graded as well. Because again, we do take students from all over Iredell County. So we just wanted to make sure that parents were understanding what we meant by shuttle stops or community stops and how transportation works, because obviously that's a big concern for most parents, and especially if you're living more than 10 minutes away from campus. So we wanted to make sure that that was very clear for everyone today. Terry and Billy, have I left anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I'll jump in with a few questions that are being asked sort of repeatedly.
Okay.
We're being asked how many spots are available.
Okay.
So at CCTL, I can admit 54 students. That's because that's exactly how many I can cram in the classrooms that the fire marshal allows on my high school side. And then Crossroads and ASEC can admit it's approximately 75. Their classrooms are just a smidge bigger than mine on their traditional campuses. So that answers those. We're being asked, in what grades can you apply? Meaning if you're already in high school, can you apply? So the answer to that is yes, if your student is a current 9th grader or a current 10th grader. So they would be at our programs as, a 10th grader or an 11th grader, but we cannot admit someone later than that because they cannot finish their associate's degree. And that's the purpose of our programs, not just getting a high school diploma. The application is not online yet. It will be posted on December 1st, and you're asking where it will be posted. It will be posted on each of the 3 early college websites in 2 places. Under one of the buttons, and one of the buttons will say application, and then down under like the announcements, the latest news section. And it will say, apply to early college here or whatever, and then you'll open that up. So it will be on any of the 3 early college websites. You can go to any of the 3 websites. It doesn't matter which one. And then you can tell us whether you're applying to 1 or to 2 or to all 3, but it only takes your application 1 time. But I hope you were listening to Miss Eller. You're not finished. After you do your part, like the parent and the student sit down first and apply online, then you have to email the 2 teachers and the school counselor to ask them to do their part online. And we would encourage you strongly not to wait, because you want those recommendations, those people, those personnel to have time to answer the questions. And we're often asked what is asked on those recommendations. And we usually are, it's things like, do they do their homework? Do they participate in class? Do they submit assignments when they're supposed to? It's more along the lines of work ethic, right? Rather than, are they a straight A student?
I'll jump in and answer a couple of these just orally as we go. Yes, and I think we did mention that a student can obtain an associate in arts or an associate in science at either of the 3 early colleges. They can basically obtain the same degree at any of the 3 early colleges.
Mhm.
Hey.
I've got it.
Yes, and if you can't attend the open houses, you are welcome to stop by or perhaps even better, call and make an appointment so that we can make sure we are available to give you a quick tour and perhaps even meet some of the staff.
There's a question about what foreign languages. Online, foreign languages, there are more options, right? In person, foreign languages within the high school, on the high school side, it is only Spanish for in-person foreign language options. Within Mitchell Community College, they have others, but they are online. The only in-person is Spanish on the college side. And I think online through the college is Latin and I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind about one of them, but there's something else. And there is American Sign Language, but that one is not recognized by the top tier universities as the preferred foreign language. How long will it take you to apply online? The parent and student part, if you sit down together, it's about 13 different slides. So it would take you about 15 minutes. You just need to read it thoroughly, answer it carefully, and fill out all the fields. If it asks you like for a home phone number and you don't have one, to get past that field, you could just type in 0000000, right? To advance on. But it usually takes about 15 minutes to do the parent student part online. And then, like I said, you need to turn around and the student email the ELA teacher, the math teacher, and the school counselor and ask them to go online to complete their part. And that is what finishes out your application. If you are outside of Iredell-Statesville Schools, you also have to email the data manager of your school to ask for the list of data. And that list of data will be on the last slide. We're always asked, what is the data? The data is grades, test scores, attendance, discipline, and the 3 teacher recommendations.
There's one question listed about our success rates, and I will talk about ASEC. I don't have any specific figures, but I would say that in the freshman and probably in the sophomore year as well, we have had somewhere around 5 to 10% of the students who do not come back the next year. And that's for multiple reasons. In some cases, it's the student's choice because they have decided that they would rather be at a traditional high school. In some of the cases, it is because the student has not obtained the grades that they needed to at the early college. And there's multiple reasons for that. I would say one of the big ones is attendance or not being dedicated and having the work ethic that's needed to keep up with the assignments and to really begin to take personal responsibility and ownership for their education. In most cases, it's not because the workload is too much for the student, because quite frankly, especially in the freshman year, all of our students have some time that's called seminar time, where they have some time during the school day to work on their homework, to get assistance from a teacher, to get peer tutoring. So it's generally not because the workload's too much. It's because the student is just not dedicated and willing to put forth the effort that's needed to be successful. So I've sort of beat around the bush there. I don't have specific percentages, but somewhere between 5 and 10%, especially in the freshman and sophomore year, probably don't return the next year.
A couple other recurring questions. Do the college credits transfer out of state? So that question on the most basic level can be answered by if it is a public university and within that state they have community colleges, right? So if they accept community college credits, classes at their public universities, then the answer is typically yes, right? If they are private universities, like within our own state, Duke, Davidson, Wake, right? They don't accept the credits, but we always say if you get a full ride or accepted to Duke, right, and they're going to pay for 2 more years of your school, you just go on, you do it anyway, and you sort of start over and you make A's and everything, right? But the public universities who are in state or out of state that are accepting their own community college credits, yes, they transfer. Another question is how will the teachers and guidance counselor fill out their recommendations? There will also be a button on our websites. So, one of the buttons will say application, and the next button over will say teacher and counselor recommendation. And that's the button they'll click on, and they'll use their ISS Gmail, and we capture that Gmail, and they'll fill it in, There's a lot about, is there a course list available? And what classes are available and things like that. So on each of our websites, you can go, like mine is under Our Parents, and you can see a sample 5-year plan of what they take on the high school side, and then generic list, like the category it falls under, like English or a humanities, or a social science or a foreign language on the college side. If you're looking for specific lists, you would need to go to Mitchell's website for the course options inside Mitchell. And I just tell folks, go to Mitchell's website, go to the search bar and type in catalog. And it's somewhere along page 61, maybe, in the electronic catalog, that it lists all of the associate's degrees, like everything you can pick from. So the transfer ones are at the top and the associate and applied science ones are next. And then if you just turn the page in that electronic catalog, it will then itemize for you what an associate in arts requires. Turn the page, what an associate in science requires, what an associate's in engineering requires. So on Mitchell's website, in their search bar, just type in the word catalog and it'll pop up.
And for example, for our students who are in the agribusiness pathway, that is an associate in applied science. So our students who are interested in that degree will pursue the associate in applied science at Mitchell. The question about your district high school, when that was referred to, that is just the high school that your student would go to if they were just attending the regular school that you live in the district for.
Okay.
Class sizes, I would say that typically our class sizes at ASEC are 20 to 25 students. However, depending on scheduling, we could end up with classes of around 15 sometimes, depending on scheduling, and also a few more than 25 in some classes.
There is a bus question about if my son will be going to North High again next year. Is it possible for him to ride a bus through North if he gets into ASIC? And normally the answer is yes. However, it's the same thing for Crossroads and Statesville High School buses. Yes, they do allow us to add students to those traditional routes. However, there has to be space on the bus first, obviously. Like they obviously are not going to overload a bus to add a separate school, but typically there is space. And then the second part is that you have to remember that we are on two different calendars. So where like we started, I believe like August 8th this year, our traditional high schools didn't start until like August the 29th. So there would have to be some kind of plan in place to get your student to and from school during those weeks that our calendars are not aligned. So it's possible, but not guaranteed, I guess, is the short answer to that question.
There was a question about the bus at North Iredell High School. So let me explain that just a little bit. Yes, if your student lives in the North Iredell High School district and you attend ASEC, your student can ride a regular North bus. However, due to busing is difficult in the district right now due to a shortage of bus drivers. So the district requires that you choose either to ride a regular district North bus or the shuttle system, and you can't switch back and forth between the two. And that comes into play when we have class and North does not have class. That can be an issue on those days. Parents would need to provide transportation for their students. For example, if we start school a week or 2 weeks before North, then and you choose to ride a regular North bus, then you would not have bus transportation for those first 1 or 2 weeks.
There's a recurring question about IEP 504 kinds of things. Yes, we have students here that are on IEPs or 504s. I would say that we are mimicking those processes that are on the Mitchell College side. And so if Mitchell College would provide it, normal examples would include, extended time, or a separate testing place, or, maybe a read aloud test or something like that. We can accommodate that. Some other things that are more intense kinds of accommodations, if Mitchell doesn't provide them, we are working students off of those. So like, I'll give you an example. Extended deadlines on assignments. Extended deadlines on daily assignments, that doesn't really work here because it just snowballs. The pace is so fast and the rigor is so high to take high school and college at the same time. There isn't time for this assignment to be due 3 days later, and then, we're still going on, and then that assignment's due 3 days later or 4 days later, and then, this assignment's due 6 days later. And, with high school and college classes, and college classes will not do that, right? If the student happens to be sick or something in the hospital, for a week, of course the college, accommodates that just like we do. So some of those specific questions you might want to call and get some advice from our school counselors, who are our 504 and IEP facilitators, or apply, and then we will talk through that at admissions time.
One of the last questions is about associate degrees and wanting to know what will transfer. Basically, the associate in arts and the associate in science are the two main college transfer degrees, but there are some transfer options even with the AAS degrees. For example, with the Associate in Applied Science Agribusiness, that degree is transferable to A&T State University as well as Mount Olive University, and the student would be able to transfer that Associate in Applied Science and right into a four-year degree at those schools. So there are some other options like that for the Associates in Applied Sciences, but those would just have to be reviewed specifically with Mitchell.
Well, it's about 6:58, well, 6:59, and I think we've gotten the questions that have been recurring. Again, you can call the school lines of any one of the three schools and ask more questions. We encourage you to come to the open houses. And if you can't attend one of the open houses, you can call for an appointment with our school counselors, and we'll work it in, on a calendar and see what we can accommodate. So we look forward to seeing all of you apply. We look forward to seeing you at open houses, and we're happy to answer any questions in the future. And again, the deadline is January 15th, but do not wait and do not forget to ask for those teacher and counselor recommendations.